Can you tell me the history of how you came up with this project to begin with 10 years ago?
Well, actually, I think I first started working on this around 1998 or 99, something like that, or maybe around 2000. Um, I'm getting a little foggy in my day, but and what spurred it? I don't know how much time I have to tell you all this, but what spurred it was, I'm walking Little Tokyo all the time, and so I bumped into a group of people, small group of about four or five, and so they're looking at a map and they're kind of looking around, and so just to be helpful, I asked them, "Can I help you? Are you looking for something?" So they said, "Yeah, we're looking for Azusa Street." And this was really right, maybe about a half a block away on San Pedro. And Azusa Street is a very nondescript. I mean, even Little Tokyo people may not know where Azusa Street was, but so I knew where it was, and so I pointed out where it was, and they went on their way, and I went on my way. And then this is again around maybe in the late 1990s, 98, 99. About a week or two later, I bumped into another group of people, Caucasian folks. And same thing, they're looking at a map and they're looking around. So I said, do you need help? Are you looking for something? And they said the same thing. They said, well, we're looking for Azusa Street. And so just to be helpful, I showed them where it was. But this time I was curious. And so I asked them, would you mind telling me why you're looking for Azusa Street? I mean, there's nothing there. It's just an alley. And so then they said, well, that's the site of the Azusa Street Mission, the Azusa Street Revival, and sort of the whole beginning of the Pentecostal church and Pentecostal movement. Well, then I started to get interested. I thought, really, I had no idea. But here are all these people looking for this site, so it must be significant. And then it just so happened I bumped into Paul Oda, who was a member of the Union Church, and he happened to mention to me that, did you know that the Pentecostal church started right here in Los Angeles? And I said, no, I didn't know that. And he goes, yeah, there's a house on Bonnie Brae, which is just a couple of miles from here. And then the church moved here to Little Tokyo. And I thought, my gosh, I think this is kind of providential. Something's happening here. And then I happened to have a graduate student intern at Little Tokyo Service Center, and she was interested in kind of how do we market Little Tokyo. And so I thought, this would be a great project. Would you mind researching the Azusa Street Mission and tell me what you learned so that I can learn more about it? Well, anyway, one day after she got this assignment, she came into my office literally out of breath, and she goes, Bill, I have to tell you, this is the most amazing story. And so then she sort of laid it all out about how the Azusa Street mission started here and how it's kind of changed the whole Christian world. And then but she herself was very piqued by the fact that the Azusa Street mission was a multiracial, multicultural church right here in the middle of downtown back in 1906. And by this time, I'm talking, it's probably about the year 2000. And so she said, just think of it, there was a church here that was diverse, and it just kind of turned the whole world upside down. And I thought, my gosh, really? And then she said there have been people who wanted to develop this site as a memorial or something to let it be known, but they didn't know who to talk to. And I've met them, and they're so excited to be able to maybe meet with me or others to kind of see what could be done. So I set up a meeting with these folks, and like she says, they were excited to talk to someone. They thought if we could do a memorial, if we could do some kind of commemoration of the event, that they would be excited. And most of them were members of the West Angeles Church of God in Christ Temple or Church, a huge church in South Central. And they had just recently bought the Bonnie Brae house, so they wanted to kind of connect the whole story, Bonnie Brae, Azusa Street and the birth of the Pentecostal movement. And so we thought, well, let's try to work together on something. And then Reverend Cecil Robick from Fuller Theology Seminary, Fuller Seminary, he was also very interested in this. He was working on a book. And so we formed a committee, and a committee to try to develop the site as a historic site for the Pentecostal movement. So that was really the beginning. That's how I got involved. I chaired the committee for a number of years, and we were aiming for 2006. 2006 would be the centennial, and so we thought, let's get it done by 2006 and have a grand opening. It would be a great story. And my interest was not only because of the religious part, and I'm a Christian myself, but I thought it'd be great for Little Tokyo, it'd be great for the cultural center, to have visitors to see something worth coming to see. So that was kind of a multiple motivation on my part. I should go back a little bit too. I think in 1998, there was a worldwide gathering of Pentecostals here in Los Angeles, and so we also wanted to try to have something to show them way back in 1998, because there was this major, I think they had like 50,000 people meeting at the sports arena, the Coliseum, or something like that. So, but we didn't make it. We did manage to get a couple of plaques and a street sign put up. But this idea of the wall, we kind of hit a roadblock in terms of getting the approval to proceed with it, so then we could start to fundraise and see the wall completed. That's a long answer to how I got it.
So, to make a long story short, it just so happens now that you became the interim president, or?
I'm sort of the interim executive director for the JCCC. And of course, I'm only going to be here for a few months until they can find a permanent replacement. But while I'm here, I'd certainly be happy to see what could be done to perhaps reintroduce the idea back to the board. I will say, when I introduced the idea 10 years ago, as part of the Little Tokyo Service Center, as part of the Azusa Street Memorial Committee, they were not that open to the idea, but I think over time they've kind of warmed up a little bit more. They now rent space here for to have like a small church services here, and I think they've gotten used to people coming and visiting the plaque and having impromptu prayer services, that kind of thing. So they might be more open to the idea of, or at least entertaining the idea of putting in something like this, as long as it's paid for by others. Because I think the idea that it would increase foot traffic would be attractive to them.
Thanks, Bill.